Every woman carries within her a universe of strength, wisdom, and grace. But the world often tells her to shrink herself, to doubt herself, to compare herself. Today, I want to remind you of something deeply powerful. You are not defined by what the world says about you. You are defined by the divine energy that God has placed within you. Just like a seed holds the power of a giant tree, you too hold limitless potential, but it blossoms only when nurtured by the right habits. Habits are not small acts. They are invisible threads that weave the fabric of your destiny. And if you, as a woman, master these habits, not only will your life transform, but everyone connected to you will feel the ripple of that transformation. Let us dive into these powerful habits that every woman should master to rise in her truth, to shine in her uniqueness, and to walk with God's strength in her heart. The greatest strength of a woman is not always shown in how loudly she can speak, how much she can argue, or how strongly she can fight. The deepest strength is often revealed in her ability to remain still, to stay composed, and to hold peace in her heart even when the world around her is noisy, demanding, and sometimes even unfair. Inner stillness is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of clarity. It is not about running away from the world, but about carrying a quiet center within yourself that nothing outside can shake. When a woman learns the habit of inner stillness, she unlocks a hidden treasure that no amount of money, power, or recognition can replace. Think about how most days in modern life unfold. A woman wakes up, and before she has even taken a sip of water, her mind is already flooded with tasks, responsibilities, and expectations. The world pulls her in 100 different directions, at work, at home, in her relationships, and even in the silent comparisons she makes when scrolling through a screen. Every moment feels loud. The noise isn't just around her, the noise is also inside her. Racing thoughts, unspoken worries, and silent fears. And yet, imagine if in the middle of all this, she chose stillness. Imagine if instead of immediately reacting, she paused, closed her eyes for a moment, and breathed deeply. That single pause can change the direction of an entire day. Inner stillness gives a woman the power to respond, not react. Let me share an example. Suppose someone says something hurtful at work, a comment meant to undermine her. The natural reaction might be to snap back, defend herself, or carry that wound for the rest of the day. But a woman who has trained herself in stillness does not allow the storm outside to become a storm inside. She breathes, she pauses, and she tells herself, "Their words do not define me. My peace is not for sale." That calmness does not mean she is weak. It means she has chosen wisdom over impulse. And with that stillness, she can address the situation with grace and dignity, instead of anger and regret. Inner stillness is like a river. On the surface, the water may look calm, but beneath it flows immense strength and depth. A woman with stillness appears gentle, yet she is powerful beyond measure. Because when she is still inside, her decisions are clearer, her mind is sharper, and her heart is more compassionate. She does not get lost in the rush of life. Instead, she carries her own pace, guided by her inner alignment with God. Now, many may think, stillness is not possible for me. My life is too busy. My mind is too restless. But stillness is not something that happens in an instant. It is a habit that is cultivated. It can be as simple as taking 5 minutes in the morning before speaking to anyone, to just sit, breathe, and connect with yourself. It can be pausing in the middle of a busy day, closing your eyes, and silently thanking God for guiding you. These little moments of silence are not wasted time. They are investments in your peace. Consider the example of a mother. Her day may be filled with endless responsibilities: preparing meals, attending to her children, managing the household. She may not always have hours for meditation or solitude. But even in the middle of this, she can practice stillness. When the children are loud, when the chores pile up, when exhaustion creeps in, she can take one conscious breath, close her eyes for just a few seconds, and remind herself, I am guided, I am strong, I am supported by God. That moment of stillness renews her strength. Inner stillness also protects a woman's energy. So often, people try to pull women into unnecessary battles, gossip, comparisons, and competitions. A still woman does not engage in every conflict because she knows her energy is too precious to waste. She does not need to prove herself in every argument because she knows her worth is not dependent on winning a debate. Her silence is not surrender, it is her strength. She chooses her battles wisely, and she wins the greater victory, peace. When storms of life come, and they surely do, inner stillness becomes her anchor. Maybe she faces a financial struggle, maybe a relationship challenge, maybe the pain of being misunderstood. The world expects her to break down, to panic, to lose herself. But she doesn't. She sits with herself, she breathes, she prays, and she trusts. This stillness does not remove the problem immediately, but it gives her the wisdom and courage to face it with strength. She becomes like a tree in the storm. The branches may sway, but the roots remain unmoved. And this habit of stillness does not only serve her, it serves everyone around her. A still woman calms the environment she enters. Her presence is soothing, her words carry weight, and her decisions inspire trust. People feel safe around her because they know she will not act out of impulse but out of clarity. She becomes like a lamp in a dark room, not noisy, not forceful, but quietly shining, guiding, and comforting. Ultimately, inner stillness is a woman's way of staying connected to God. Because in stillness, she hears the whispers of her soul. In stillness, she feels divine guidance. In stillness, she realizes that she is never alone, no matter how loud or chaotic the world becomes. A woman with stillness walks gracefully, speaks wisely, and lives fully because she has found her strength not in the outer world, but in her inner connection with God. When a woman begins to respect herself, everything about her life begins to shift. Self-respect is not about ego, pride, or arrogance. It is about recognizing the divine essence within her and honoring it in every decision she makes. It is about looking in the mirror and realizing, I am not ordinary. I am a masterpiece of God's creation. When this realization blossoms within her heart, she no longer begs for validation. She no longer lowers her standards to be accepted, and she no longer allows herself to be treated as less than what she truly is. Respect is not something the world gives you, it is something you first give yourself. And once you cultivate it, the world has no choice but to follow. Think of how often women compromise their dignity just to fit in. Many times, it starts in small ways. A woman laughs at a joke she doesn't find funny, just so people will not think she's too serious. She says yes to requests she doesn't want to fulfill, just so no one thinks she is selfish. She accepts behavior that hurts her because she is afraid of being alone. Slowly, without realizing it, she teaches the world that her boundaries can be crossed, her voice can be silenced, and her worth can be overlooked. But the moment she decides to respect herself, she reclaims her power. Saying no when something does not serve her is not selfishness, it is self-respect. Walking away from what is toxic is not weakness, it is wisdom. A woman who respects herself shines differently. You can feel it in the way she walks, in the way she speaks, in the way she carries herself. She does not need to announce her worth because her energy announces it for her. She does not chase attention because she knows she is already whole. Respect gives her an aura of dignity that cannot be ignored. People around her naturally begin to treat her differently because they sense she will not tolerate being diminished. This does not mean she is harsh or unkind. On the contrary, her respect for herself allows her to respect others more deeply. She does not allow herself to be used, and she does not use others. She values her own soul, and therefore, she values the souls of others. Let me share a simple example. Imagine a woman at her workplace. She is talented, hardworking, and dedicated. Yet her contributions are often overlooked and her ideas dismissed. Many women in such situations stay silent, fearing that if they speak up, they will be judged or disliked. But a woman with self-respect knows her value. She does not shout, she does not demand with aggression, but she calmly asserts her thoughts. She sets boundaries for her workload. She communicates her needs clearly. And because she respects herself enough not to remain invisible, others begin to take her seriously. Respect is not about fighting endlessly with the world. It is about standing so firmly in your truth that the world learns it cannot push you down. In personal relationships too, self-respect is a guiding light. Many women endure disrespectful treatment in the name of love, sacrifice, or loyalty. They convince themselves that tolerating pain is a sign of strength. But real strength is not in allowing yourself to be broken. It is in having the courage to walk away from what breaks you. A woman who respects herself does not confuse love with compromise of dignity. She loves deeply, she gives wholeheartedly, but she never abandons herself in the process. She knows that love without respect is an illusion, and any bond that requires her to lose her self-worth is not a bond blessed by God. Self-respect also transforms the way a woman sees her body, her time, and her energy. She no longer abuses her body to fit into society's shallow standards. She eats to nourish, not to impress. She dresses not for approval, but to express her inner grace. She does not give her time to everyone who demands it. She chooses wisely because her time is precious. She does not engage in unnecessary gossip or negativity because her energy is sacred. These small daily choices are how self-respect is lived, not in big declarations, but in the quiet discipline of honoring oneself. Many women fear that if they set boundaries, they will lose relationships. But in reality, self-respect does not end healthy relationships. It strengthens them. The people who truly love her will never be threatened by her dignity. Instead, they will admire it. Boundaries do not push people away. They filter out those who are not meant to stay. And when a woman stands firmly in her self-respect, she attracts the right people into her life, those who value, honor, and uplift her. At the deepest level, self-respect is a form of spiritual respect. It is acknowledging that your life is a gift from God, and you cannot misuse it by allowing yourself to be disrespected. It is saying, I am worthy because I was created with purpose. And when a woman aligns her life with that truth, she becomes unshakable. Her relationships improve, her career grows, her health strengthens, and most importantly, her inner peace blossoms. A woman with self-respect does not live for applause, nor is she destroyed by criticism. She knows that her worth does not rise and fall with people's opinions. She moves with grace, she speaks with clarity, she loves with depth, and she walks with dignity. Respect is not something she waits to receive from others. It is something she carries within. and it lights her path through every season of life. Gratitude is one of the most transformative habits a woman can master because it shifts the way she sees everything around her. Gratitude is not just saying thank you with words, it is living with a heart that constantly recognizes the blessings in every moment, no matter how big or small. It is the quiet realization that even when life does not give her everything she desires, life always gives her something to cherish. A grateful woman does not deny her challenges, but she chooses not to let those challenges blind her to the good that is already present. Gratitude is the lens that turns ordinary days into extraordinary gifts. And when a woman wears this lens, her world becomes brighter, her heart becomes softer, and her spirit becomes stronger. So often, people believe happiness comes from achieving more, a bigger house, a better job, more recognition, or a perfect relationship. But gratitude teaches us that happiness is not found in having everything. It is found in appreciating everything we already have. A woman may wake up and immediately feel overwhelmed by her long list of tasks, but the habit of gratitude changes the way she starts her day. Instead of focusing on the pressure, she pauses and acknowledges, I have a home to wake up in, I have work that gives me purpose, I have breath in my lungs, and I have another day gifted by God to live. That simple act of gratitude shifts her energy from stress to strength. Daily life offers endless opportunities to practice gratitude, but we often overlook them. For example, a woman may complain about the traffic on her way to work. But a woman grounded in gratitude says to herself, I am grateful I have a vehicle. I am grateful I have a job to reach. I am grateful for the ability to move and travel. Another woman may feel frustrated while preparing meals for her family. Yet gratitude reminds her, I am thankful for the food on this table, for the strength to cook, and for the loved ones I share it with. Gratitude does not remove life's difficulties, but it makes the difficulties lighter because it shifts attention from what is missing to what is present. Consider how gratitude affects relationships. A woman who practices gratitude does not constantly focus on her partner's flaws, her children's mistakes, or her friends' shortcomings. Instead, she appreciates their efforts, their presence, and their unique qualities. She does not demand perfection from others because gratitude has taught her to see the beauty in imperfection. Such a woman becomes a source of warmth in her relationships because gratitude nurtures patience, forgiveness, and love. People are drawn to her because being around her feels uplifting. She radiates joy that comes from a thankful heart. Gratitude also becomes a powerful strength in times of hardship. Life is not always smooth. There are seasons of loss, pain, and struggle. Many break down under the weight of such times, but a grateful woman finds something to hold on to even in the darkest hour. She may face financial struggles, yet she is grateful for the skills and ideas that can help her rebuild. She may face loneliness, yet she is grateful for the time to reconnect with herself and with God. She may face rejection, yet she is grateful for the protection it offers from paths not meant for her. Gratitude in hard times does not deny the pain, it transforms the pain into purpose. It allows her to say, even though this hurts, I trust there is still something here for me to learn, something here to make me stronger. Science also shows what spirituality has always taught: gratitude heals. It reduces stress, improves health, and brings peace of mind. A grateful heart sleeps better at night because instead of replaying worries, it replays blessings. A grateful woman smiles more easily because she notices beauty in simple things. The laughter of a child, the sound of rain, the touch of a loved one's hand. Gratitude makes her rich in ways money never can. But gratitude is not just for the good times. It is especially powerful when practiced deliberately in moments when life feels unfair. Imagine a woman who loses something precious, a job, a relationship, or even a dream. At first, she may feel broken. But gratitude whispers to her, this ending is also a beginning. This loss is making space for something new. Be thankful for what was and trust in what will be. That mindset keeps her from sinking into despair. Instead, she rises with faith that God's wisdom is greater than her plans. Another beautiful aspect of gratitude is that it multiplies. The more a woman is grateful, the more reasons she finds to be grateful. If she thanks God for a new opportunity, she soon notices more doors opening. If she appreciates her health, she begins to take better care of it. If she cherishes the love in her life, that love deepens. Gratitude attracts abundance, not because life suddenly changes, but because her perspective changes. She learns to see blessings that were always there, but hidden by complaints or comparisons. A woman with gratitude does not compare her journey with others, because she knows her story is unique and beautifully designed. Instead of envying what someone else has, she says, I am thankful for their success, and I am thankful for my own path. Gratitude frees her from jealousy and fills her with contentment. And contentment does not mean she stops striving. It means she strives with joy, not with desperation. Ultimately, gratitude connects a woman to God in a profound way. Every thank you she whispers is a prayer. Every moment she appreciates is a reminder that she is cared for by a higher power. Gratitude keeps her humble when she succeeds and hopeful when she struggles. It becomes her constant companion, guiding her through every season of life. A grateful woman walks through the world with lightness in her steps and warmth in her heart. She does not live in scarcity because gratitude reveals the abundance already around her. She does not dwell in bitterness because gratitude cleanses her soul of resentment. She lives with peace, she gives with love, and she receives with grace. Gratitude is not just a habit, it is a way of living that turns every moment into a gift and every day into a blessing. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward, even while fear is whispering in your ear. Every woman, at some point in her life, faces moments where she is called to step out of her comfort zone, to speak when it feels easier to stay silent, to act when it feels safer to hold back, or to walk a path where the destination is uncertain. And in those moments, it is courage that separates a life lived small from a life lived fully. Courage is not always about big, dramatic acts. Sometimes it is as simple as saying yes to an opportunity that feels intimidating, or as powerful as saying no to something that does not align with her truth. A woman who masters the habit of courage becomes unstoppable because she no longer allows fear to dictate her choices. Think of daily life. Fear often tries to hold women back in subtle ways. A woman might have a dream of starting her own business, but the thought of failure makes her freeze. Another may want to express her opinion in a meeting, but the fear of being judged keeps her silent. A young woman may want to follow her passion, but the fear of disappointing others makes her choose a safer, less fulfilling path. These fears disguise themselves as being practical or being realistic, but in truth, they are walls built by the mind. Courage does not mean ignoring fear, it means looking at the wall and saying, I will climb anyway. A powerful example is seen in women who pursue education or careers in environments that discourage them. It takes courage to go against the current, to believe in your worth when others doubt you. Imagine a woman from a small community who dares to study in a big city, leaving behind familiarity to chase her dreams. At every step, fear accompanies her: fear of being alone, fear of failure, fear of criticism. But courage becomes her companion too. And each time she takes one step forward despite fear, she grows. This is the essence of courage. It is not a one-time act, but a habit of repeatedly choosing faith over fear. Courage is also needed in personal relationships. Sometimes it takes more courage to walk away than to stay. Many women remain in situations that drain them: friendships, relationships, even family dynamics, because they fear loneliness or judgment. But a woman of courage knows that protecting her peace is worth more than holding on to something unhealthy. Courage is saying, "I deserve better," and then acting on it even if the path ahead is uncertain. It is choosing dignity over comfort, truth over pretense, and long-term peace over short-term approval. Courage also expresses itself in small, everyday ways. It is the courage to be authentic in a world that constantly pushes women to fit into molds. It is the courage to accept your body as it is, instead of endlessly comparing it to impossible standards. It is the courage to admit when you are tired and ask for help, instead of pretending to have it all under control. It is the courage to forgive when holding on to anger feels easier, or to try again after failing when giving up feels tempting. These everyday acts of courage may not make headlines, but they shape the foundation of a woman's strength. One of the greatest truths about courage is that it grows with practice. The more a woman chooses to act bravely, the more her fears shrink. Think of a woman who is terrified of public speaking. The first time she speaks, her voice trembles, her hands shake, and her heart races. But she does it anyway. The next time, she feels a little stronger. Slowly, and her courage expands, and what once terrified her becomes natural. Courage is like a muscle. It strengthens each time you use it. And just like a muscle, it weakens if it is neglected. That is why making courage a habit is so important. Courage is also deeply spiritual. When a woman chooses courage, she is saying to herself, "I trust that God is guiding me, even if I cannot see the whole path." Fear focuses on what could go wrong. Courage focuses on the divine strength within to handle whatever comes. A woman with courage walks with the belief that she is supported, that she is never truly alone, and that even her failures are lessons shaping her destiny. Her courage is not reckless. It is rooted in faith. Consider how contagious courage is. When one woman dares to live courageously, others around her feel inspired. A mother who pursues her passion, despite challenges, teaches her children the value of bravery. A young girl who speaks up against injustice inspires her peers to do the same. A woman who dares to dream beyond limits becomes a living example that courage creates possibility. Courage spreads like fire. One small spark can ignite countless others. At times, courage is simply enduring. There are women who wake up every day carrying heavy burdens, responsibilities, health struggles, personal losses, yet they rise, smile, and continue. That resilience is courage. It is the quiet strength of saying, "This is hard, but I will not give up." The world may not applaud such courage, but God sees it, and it builds a strength inside her that nothing can break. Ultimately, courage is a choice, not a feeling. A woman does not need to wait until she feels brave to act. She must act first, and the feeling of bravery will follow. Courage opens doors, builds character, deepens faith, and transforms lives. A woman who lives with courage is not the one who never fears, but the one who says, "I feel the fear, but I will not let it stop me." And that decision, repeated day after day, shapes her into a woman of extraordinary power, dignity, and grace. Compassion is the language of the heart. It is not merely about feeling sorry for someone, but about deeply understanding another's struggles and choosing to respond with kindness, love, and care. For a woman, compassion is both her natural strength and her divine gift. But often in the rush of life, this gift is overlooked, taken for granted, or even misunderstood as weakness. In truth, compassion is not weakness. It is one of the greatest forms of strength because it requires a woman to rise above her ego, her anger, and her judgments, and to connect directly with the soul of another. When a woman cultivates the habit of compassion, she transforms not only her own life, but also the lives of everyone she touches. Compassion begins with the way a woman treats herself. Many women spend their lives giving endlessly to others, to their children, families, colleagues, and communities, while forgetting to extend that same gentleness to themselves. They set impossible standards for their own performance, criticize themselves harshly when they make mistakes, and push themselves beyond exhaustion, believing that worth is measured by how much they can endure. But true compassion must first begin at home, within one's own heart. A woman who practices compassion towards herself understands that she is human, that she will stumble, that she will fall short sometimes, and that it is okay. Instead of beating herself down with guilt, she lifts herself up with kindness. She whispers to her own soul, "You are doing your best, and that is enough." That self-compassion then becomes the foundation upon which she can give love to others without resentment or depletion. Consider the simple example of a woman working tirelessly at her job and then returning home to manage her household. She is exhausted, but she tells herself she must keep going without pause. If she fails to show herself compassion, she may burn out, lose her patience, or feel unappreciated. But if she pauses to rest, to breathe, and to remind herself that caring for her own well-being is not selfish but necessary, she is able to serve her family and her work with renewed energy and love. Compassion for the self is like refilling your cup before offering water to others. Without it, the cup eventually runs dry. Beyond herself, compassion shapes the way a woman relates to others. Life constantly places her in situations where she can choose between judgment and understanding, between criticism and kindness. Imagine someone speaks rudely to her. The first instinct may be to react with equal rudeness or to hold on to resentment. But a compassionate woman pauses and wonders, what pain might they be carrying that made them speak this way? This does not mean she allows disrespect, but it means she responds with wisdom rather than anger. Instead of adding to the cycle of negativity, she softens it with grace. Compassion allows her to see beyond behavior and into the human heart. Compassion also makes relationships blossom. A mother who practices compassion towards her children does not simply scold them for mistakes. She teaches them with patience and gentleness. A friend who embodies compassion does not abandon someone in difficult times. She stands by them with empathy and presence. A partner who shows compassion does not demand perfection. Instead, they grow together, accepting flaws as part of the journey. When compassion is present in relationships, they deepen, heal, and endure. One of the most beautiful aspects of compassion is its ability to heal wounds that time alone cannot. A woman who chooses compassion over bitterness learns the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean condoning hurtful actions, but it means freeing herself from the chains of resentment. Carrying anger is like carrying fire in one's heart. It burns the carrier more than anyone else. Compassion cools that fire, replacing it with peace. She realizes that by forgiving, she is not excusing the wrong, but she is choosing not to let the wrong poison her soul. That is true strength. Compassion also extends beyond personal circles. It is in the way a woman treats strangers, animals, or even the environment. When she smiles at a stranger, helps someone in need, or speaks kindly when she has nothing to gain, she is practicing compassion. These acts may seem small, but they ripple outward in ways she may never see. A single act of compassion can brighten someone's darkest day. A kind word can stop someone from giving up hope. A gentle gesture can remind someone that goodness still exists in the world. Some people believe that compassion makes one vulnerable, but the truth is the opposite. A compassionate woman is strong because she knows her power lies not in dominating others, but in uplifting them. She does not fear being taken advantage of because her compassion is guided by wisdom. She knows when to give and when to step back, when to nurture and when to protect her boundaries. Compassion does not mean saying yes to everything. It means saying yes to love, understanding, and kindness, even while saying no to what harms her peace. In moments of conflict, compassion is often the key to resolution. Arguments that could escalate into lifelong bitterness can dissolve when one person chooses to be compassionate enough to listen. A woman who practices compassion in conflict does not aim to win the argument, she aims to preserve peace. She speaks firmly yet kindly, listens with patience, and seeks solutions rather than blame. Her presence itself becomes healing because she embodies calmness when others are consumed by heat. Spiritually, compassion connects a woman directly with God. Every time she chooses kindness over cruelty, she reflects divine love. Every time she chooses patience over anger, she mirrors divine wisdom. Compassion is not just a human virtue, it is a spiritual practice, a way of living aligned with God's presence. A compassionate woman walks this world as a vessel of divine love, touching lives not through loud declarations but through quiet, consistent acts of care. In the end, compassion is not just about how a woman treats others, it is about who she becomes. A compassionate woman becomes a safe place for others, a source of strength, a fountain of love. She radiates warmth in a cold world, gentleness in a harsh world, and hope in a hopeless world. Compassion is her silent power. It does not scream, it does not demand, but it changes everything it touches. And when she makes compassion her daily habit, she not only transforms her own life, but also leaves behind a legacy of love that echoes long after she is gone. The sixth habit that every woman should master is the art of resilience, the ability to rise again, no matter how hard life pushes her down. Resilience is not about pretending that pain doesn't exist. It's about learning how to dance with it, how to transform struggles into stepping stones, and how to see storms not as enemies, but as hidden teachers sent by God to strengthen the soul. A resilient woman does not deny her tears, she allows them to flow, but she never allows them to wash away her faith. She may bend under the weight of challenges, but she refuses to break because deep within her she knows that every difficulty is temporary, but her spirit, connected with the divine, is eternal. Think of a tree in the middle of a storm. The strong winds try to uproot it, the rain lashes against it, yet the tree stands tall because its roots are deep. The branches may sway, the leaves may scatter, but the trunk remains. In the same way, resilience is like the deep roots of a woman's life. It keeps her grounded when everything around her feels chaotic. A resilient woman knows that her strength is not in avoiding storms, but in standing firm through them. She understands that God never promised life without tests. Instead, He gave us the inner strength to pass through them and come out refined. In daily life, resilience may look like a mother who, despite being exhausted from working all day, still sits with her children at night to listen to their stories. It may look like a student who faces repeated failures in her exams but chooses to study harder, believing that her time will come. It may look like a woman who goes through heartbreak but decides not to let her pain harden her heart, choosing instead to love again with wisdom. Resilience doesn't mean she is untouched by pain. It means she refuses to let pain define her. Sometimes resilience is quiet. It doesn't roar or make noise. It can be as simple as waking up after a night of tears and saying, "I will try again." It can be holding on to patience when words of anger are at the tip of your tongue. It can be choosing forgiveness over revenge, peace over bitterness, faith over fear. Each time a woman chooses to rise instead of sink, to grow instead of shrink, she is practicing resilience. And with every step, her spirit becomes stronger, her heart becomes purer, and her connection with God becomes deeper. Resilience also teaches women to trust the process of life. Just as gold must go through fire to become pure, our souls go through challenges to shine brighter. A resilient woman doesn't curse her trials, she learns from them. She doesn't ask, "Why me?" but instead asks, "What is God trying to teach me through this?" This shift of perspective is what makes resilience sacred. It transforms suffering into wisdom and turns obstacles into opportunities. Life will always present moments where giving up seems easier than continuing. But resilience whispers, "Hold on a little longer." It is this habit that helps women endure when doors close, when dreams seem delayed, when relationships change, or when loneliness visits. Resilience is the companion that says, even if today is heavy, tomorrow may bring light, and that hope, that faith, keeps her moving. The beauty of resilience is that it doesn't just help one person, it inspires everyone around her. A resilient woman becomes an example to her children, her friends, her community. She silently teaches them that no matter how hard life may strike, the soul has a power far greater than any difficulty. She teaches them that God never abandons anyone who refuses to give up. And in her strength, others find courage to fight their own battles. So let every woman nurture resilience as a sacred habit. Let her remind herself that she is stronger than her fears, bigger than her failures, and deeper than her wounds. Let her remember that resilience is not about surviving with a wounded heart, but about living with a hopeful heart. When she falls, let her rise. When she is tested, let her trust. When she is broken, let her rebuild. For the world may admire her achievements, but God cherishes her resilience.